Hello and welcome to another of the topical tax tips from me, Bernard Critchley, the tax manager at Aspen Waite. Today I want to look at business travel expenses, the expenses incurred by an employee, and whether that reimbursement gives rise to a tax charge or not. I want to start by looking at the situation where I use my own car for journeys, and we'll look at company cars next time. The first thing we have to look at is the journey from home to work. It's a well-established fact in income tax law that the costs incurred by an employee in travelling from their home to their normal place of work cannot be reimbursed without a tax charge to the employee. So, what is defined as my normal place of work? For most of us, it's very easy because we only ever go to one location from our home. However, if you have more than one site, then you could have each of those sites considered as a permanent workplace. If you've got an established pattern of visiting, or you spend 40% of your time at a site, or the arrangement at the outset exceeds 24 months. Two things arise from this. Firstly, you can't change your normal place of work merely by working from home or temporarily deciding to go to the office infrequently or something like that. And secondly, a genuine secondment to a client or to another business premises would make the reimbursement of the travel expenses allowable. So, if I were needed to work for the next 3 months, say, at our Tiverton office, the journey from my home to the Tiverton office would not be normal commuting, and any reimbursement of my travel costs would not attract either tax or national insurance. One special class of employees for which these rules don't apply will be those who consider to have a travelling appointment, such as an area sales rep, who would have no office base. For these people, the journey from their home to their first customer will be an allowable journey. Contrast that with a care worker who travels to a number of clients on short-term appointments. The journey to the first client and the journey from the last client back home would be considered normal commuting. The journeys between clients, however, are allowable. I could spend the rest of the time talking about different scenarios, what constitutes a business journey. I don't want to make it too complicated, so I would just say that if you've got any particular scenarios in your own workplace, then get in touch in the usual way and I'll be able to talk you through whether the business allowance is available or whether it's not. Try and remember though, travel to work is not allowable, but travel for work is. So we've established that the journey qualifies. How much can we claim? I expect we all know that the rate for cars is 45p a mile, but don't forget that once you go over 10,000 business miles, that rate goes down to 25p a mile. One often overlooked allowance is the additional 5p that can be claimed for each passenger in addition to the 45 or 25p. So if I've got 2 employees that come with me on my business journey, I can claim 55p a mile and not 45p a mile, as would otherwise be the case. If the employer does not reimburse the full amount of the allowance, the employee can make a claim for the difference either on their self-assessment tax return, if they have one, or by using Form P87. Now let's have a look at subsistence, an area in which a lot of people get wrong both ways. To get a subsistence allowance, the expense must be linked to the business journey, or it must be wholly, exclusively and necessarily in the performance of the duties, the so-called when test. So let's look at two examples that I hope will explain this further. First one, I'm asked to visit our office in Wales for a series of client meetings over a 2-day period. My hotel expenses and my evening meal for my overnight stay would be allowable. Secondly, I'm asked to spend a few days covering for my colleague in our Wellington office, travelling each day from home and returning each evening. Even though this is considered a temporary workplace, my travelling is going to be allowed, as I've mentioned earlier. I normally bring a packed lunch to work, and so I will not get any tax relief for the cost of my lunch, as this was not incurred in the course of my journey and is not within the when test. I'm often asked how much can I claim, when really I think the question that they're asking is how much can I get away with? For example, HMRC will not disallow a hotel cost just because a cheaper one is available, nor will it disallow a first-class train fare where a standard fare is available. But they will look at the scale of the expenditure and disallow anything that may be considered to be too excessive. So, in conclusion, if you use your car for any journey, check the temporary and permanent workplace position to see if you can claim an allowance, and also with regard to a journey to a client's premises. Don't forget to claim for any passengers. Don't forget to claim for any shortfall in allowance, either through your tax return or the Form P87. And don't forget the subsistence element of the business travel, and claim any shortfall in the way we said before. So, that's all for me. So until the next time, happy travels.